even if it's really annoying to play with, it is still a really good use of your time or your team's time to get good at prompting in a tool like this, because it's just a very defensible skill set.
We're back with another episode of D2C Diaries. Back with Alex Cooper, who, how do we first meet? It was a long time ago, wasn't it?
It was actually an agency event, I think. Do you remember?
It was an agency event, yeah.
2019, I think it was.
We were both like two young, fresh-faced kids. We were both at that event. We got on really well. And then I don't think we saw each other or heard from each other for probably, 3 years until we were just cooking in the background. And then I remember just seeing you pop up on Twitter, and I was just like, I recognize this guy.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I had. I was like, is that the same guy from the agency event? And I was like, no way.
Yeah. And you DM'd me, didn't you? And I was like, no. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. We are really excited to get into all things creative strategy. If you don't know Alex, he's probably one of the most prolific, is guru the right word? Operator in the space in terms of AI and creative strategy. But maybe just for viewers who don't know who you are, give a little bit of the origin story, and we'll get into some stuff.
Yeah, so my name's Alex Cooper, and I run a performance creative agency called AdCreate, and I basically describe myself as living in the intersection between AI and creative strategy. I'm a very curious, tangentially AI forward and AI skeptical person. And my agency, as you guys do, runs creative for e-commerce brands. So yeah, that's been my life for the last couple of years.
I feel like you've really taken over that intersection, like the main
Big time.
Influencer sounds like the right word. AI influencer in the creative game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just curious. I love AI. Like, I genuinely am like such an AI nerd. I have like almost 100 custom GPTs, and like just Claude. I just nerd out about it.
Spent many hours with the robot.
Way too many. It won't be long until I have an AI girlfriend, I think.
Do you see that? There was a picture went viral of that guy on the train talking to one in London.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I actually saw a Gary Vee video where, and this is absolutely not related to what we're supposed to be talking about today. A Gary Vee video about how he thinks that all of our grandkids are going to have AI girlfriends, and like I think he might be right, but like, dude, when you can plug in these LLMs into a physical robot who looks like your favorite influencer, your favorite, it's going to be terrible for society. But I can already feel the retention chart dropping as I'm talking about this, because people didn't come up with this. So we should probably talk about creative strategy.
Yes. No, we love it. That's what the audience love to hear.
It's a good clip.
But yeah, I think load of stuff we want to get into today. Obviously, want to touch on, I think, a lot of brands that listen to this podcast that are trying to build creative teams internally. I think you've done an incredible job at that. How you nurture your strategists is amazing to see, and we can definitely get into that. But I think what I'd love to just start with is, what are you seeing working right now in terms of ads on Meta and TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we could go for. There's more like tactical formats we can go through, and then kind of less trendy, more timeless principles that I'm seeing working ad accounts. If I think about like what formats that I'm liking, I'm seeing at the top ad accounts at the moment, I've heard you guys talking about the like wall of text videos where you just have like some B-roll of someone, I don't know, drinking a coffee or like working on their laptop, and then just a big paragraph of text over the top of those. And I love those because you can test messaging so quickly. And like sometimes we run those with like 10, 15 variations, and they absolutely murder for digital products. I didn't think they'd be as effective for e-commerce brands, but we've actually had quite a few winners in e-com accounts using those wall of text videos.
Started as like a TikTok trend, that didn't it? Really, started with like just people on TikTok doing it. It's a good example of where you can take something that's worked organically and just pull it into performance.
Yeah,
I also just think it's like taking existing people try and reinvent the wheel too often. I think that's actually one of the things I see strategists do more than not. If they come into like our business, they think they have to come with these big, crazy, big swing creative ideas all the time. But like, a lot of the time it is literally just taking messaging that's working and applying it to a different format. And I think that's a great example of it, like taking literally a script that has worked well, obviously a condensed version, and putting it with the wall of text on the screen.
And you guys know better than anyone, like how many times have you taken something that's worked in one account for one brand and then taken it to a completely different industry, recreated it, and same results. And this is why, like, I really encourage strategists, like today, like if there's one thing you can do today, like become an absolute hoarder of top performing ads, like collect as many reference points into your foreplay board as possible, because especially with the way that AI is going, I'm sure we can get into that as well. Like the value over the next 12, 24 months is not going to be in like the skill of creating ads itself, but in knowing what to create. And I just think the more you can absorb to top performing ads from different industries, from different types of audiences, the more, like, the better position you're in when you're on a new account or you work with a new brand to go, oh, I remember this consultant call that I did 3 years ago, or I remember this other account that was actually a different industry, but like I can see how I could take that messaging structure and I could apply it to this account. So
100%, yeah, like so bullish on that. And just context engineering, isn't it? Like how pulling those best performers, you know, putting them into Google AI Studios, building it into a framework and putting it in a database. And it's just, not something that people are leaning into enough.
Yeah. So the wall of text videos I'm liking. Actually, VO hooks, we're seeing doing very well right now. We've done a couple of full VO videos, and it's too early to set the performance. So maybe you guys have done more and have more of an insight. But like for the most part, I'm seeing the value add of VO to be creating, in the same way to image gen, I think intentionally unrealistic hooks. So, you know, work with a socks brand. It's like, you know, they put their, like they put a foot in like an ice bucket, or just like they put like, we had another one, it was like a knee, like it was joint pain and the knee was on fire. Like things that you wouldn't be able to shoot. It's just so easy to prompt inside of VO now, and you get like a 3-4 second clip. I've seen a lot of those hooks at the top of ad accounts, but you know, VO's another topic that I'm sure we can get into. But I'm liking a lot of those at the moment as well. Yeah,
I think that's interesting. I think, like as you say, it's how can you like take a hook and apply almost a visual, crazy, obscure metaphor on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Taking it from like a 5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 in terms of visual, like how dynamic the hook is. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. So just while we're on the topic, VO3 videos as a whole, because we were speaking a bit about this before, and we're kind of seeing the same, like early days, obviously, but still nowhere near close to competing with, you know, low prod or even high prod videos. Mm-hmm. What's your hypothesis around that right now as to why that maybe isn't quite hitting where it needs to?
Because we're still so early. Like usually, I mean, typically in AI, I mean, I say typically, there's not really too much precedent, but like video seems to follow whatever developments happen in image by about 12 to 18 months. So like when image gen came out earlier this year, I was thinking to myself, like the equivalent video gen is probably not going to be here till 2026, midway through 2026. I was caught off guard, like, I mean, like many of the releases in AI this year. I didn't think something like this would be here this early. So we're still incredibly early. My take on this, though, is that, like, I mean, again, I am very AI bullish, but I do believe that most, if not all, creative will be done in a tool like VO within 24 months. So even if you don't think the tool is there yet today, which is not, even if it takes a lot of time, even if it's tedious, even if it's really annoying to play with, it is still a really good use of your time or your team's time to get good at prompting in a tool like this, because it's just a very defensible skill set. Well, if anything, is a defensible skill set in AI. But like, you know, I think this is how creative is going to be made in the future. So even if it's a little annoying to work with right now, we are trying to pour into our editors and pour into our strategists to get comfortable prompting in a tool like this, because it might not be VO, but something like this is how I think the vast majority of ad creative will be made in the not so distant future.
I'm bullish on VO. I'm bullish on Google for anything video. I just feel like they've got the context window right to win.
they've got the pockets and they've got YouTube.
Yeah, those two things. Those two
YouTube's-
things in itself, like cash and YouTube, is like just
The ultimate context, like the whole of YouTube.
Oh yeah, and like even the video that you posted on Twitter, the VO video you posted on Twitter not too long ago. Like, I mean, some of the examples are just absolutely wild to say. That,
Yeah.
like, imagine showing that to someone at the start of this year,
Yeah.
saying like this is going to be possible by June.
I know, it's fucking crazy.
I've seen. Did you see that Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad?
Is that one of your topics?
Yeah. No, but she. I didn't validate this, but they said the car driving away at the end of that was AI because of the way that it like transitioned once she was in it. It wasn't. They said it wasn't real. You can't prove it.
Seamless. But it might have been real.
But it made sense. But I think you'll see. I've seen loads of people recreating like IKEA ads and things on Twitter. I think I will start to see a lot more filter through into like mainstream TV as well soon.
Yeah, there's a good follow on Twitter, PJ Ace.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He's really good.
Video prompting, actually, like he sells it as a service, like video videos. And he recently was hired by Popeyes. I don't know if you saw this. McDonald's were beefing with Popeyes over something. I can't remember what it was. But basically, they hired. So Popeyes go to PJ and they say like, "We want you to make an ad for us. It's in our beef for Popeyes against McDonald's." And he made a rap battle, like Popeyes rap, McDonald's rap. Made a rap battle against McDonald's, like a 1 minute ad inside of VO, where it was just like, Popeyes employees doing a rap battle against McDonald's, and then Ronald McDonald. It was just crazy. Like, this is where we're at now.
That's wild. I see it changing, even just when it comes to like these very top of funnel TVC style ads. Like that's what he does really well.
Yeah.
I almost see, how like previously, in that world, and you would pitch a brief, and then they would pick up one of the briefs and commission it to be made, and then the director and writer who pitched would then make that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to get to the point where you are literally creating the ad and then pitching the ad, and then they buy the ad, the rights to the ad, and then launch it. Because there was another great example where these guys, I forgot their names, I'll find it, but in our VO3 video we show it, but they were just like, we really wanted to do an ad for Liquid Death. They weren't responding, so we just went and did it anyway, and it is so good.
Wow. That's awesome. But like Ugly's gonna follow. Like look at like Midjourney at the start, it was all professional, all super clean, and now you've got like a Higglesfield where it's easy to generate like real looking like actual iPhone shot images. So at some point, I mean, it's crazy to think that like right now there's kind of this cat and mouse race between AI and like human content creators, and the human content creators are trying to prove they're not AI, and the AI is trying to prove it as a human content creator. But like, what happens when it gets to the point where a VO or another tool can make ads that genuinely look like ugly ads, genuinely look like someone holding the phone and walking around, and like the inflections and like the emotions that a real human would use?
I feel like there's got to be a regulatory change at some point. But that's
not in the US, probably will fucking get hit by it.
just feel like there's a lot of negatives to when you can literally create infinite human-like videos reviewing products that people have never purchased before. There's a lot of negative outcomes to that situation. But
we were saying though, like we were talking about this, and there is almost no difference to that creating a fake person talking about the benefits of a product to paying a UGC creator with a script.
Yeah,
I think there's an issue with that in itself, but no one's even changed the regulation around it.
If you want to play by the law, like we should all be putting disclaimers on our UGC videos.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, it's like will it force like a real change in that? Like
possibly.
That's never been seen before, but
possibly. Will there be AI that detects when it's made by AI?
Yeah,
probably.
Likely. Will you have to put watermarks on videos that are more review focused?
Yeah, or will the platforms do that automatically?
Yeah,
it says this ad was made with AI.
You meant to do that, right? Especially in some categories in America, definitely meant to do it in like beauty and cosmetics. You meant to put a really big disclaimer, but just no one does.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
when that happens, wait till the dropshippers get a hold of it.
Yeah,
that's why your dropshipper ads recently on my Instagram feed. They're insane.
All these guys.
Yeah, back to this then. What else are you seeing working right now?
So I've actually seen. I did an ad account review yesterday in prep for this. I've seen quite a few, like the TikTok comment response bubbles.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a lot of them, specifically price objections. When someone's calling out saying like, these socks are way too expensive, or like I'm never paying $80 for a pair of jeans, and just like comment objection videos. Specifically when you're actually addressing the comment directly rather than just like tacking it on in post to a piece of B-roll, and it's like not like directly, but like someone who's saying, so that's what I thought. Like I thought these were expensive initially, but
we've got a couple of examples of that where we've done it with a founder deodorant brand we work with, where we've taken there's a common reply, if you know who I mean. And the founders are responding to it in a podcast setting with that overlay. And I think that's definitely working well.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of those. I know you guys talk a lot about the kind of, I've seen your like post-it note on the back or like message on the back with someone walking. I just think any way that you can creatively write messages on things that is visually relevant to your audience. Like for example, we do some consulting with a fightwear brand in the UK, and like they wrote a message, like they had a pair of gloves on the canvas and they wrote a message on the canvas with image gen. Or we had a dandruff shampoo where we were in the bathroom and we like put condensation, we made condensation on the window and then we wrote a message in the window.
Nice.
Like that's can cool. We visually telegraph to our audience that this is something for them, or this is something about our product, so that before I even open my mouth, the creator or like whatever the message is, I know that if I'm in this audience, this subconsciously feels like a piece of content that's meant for me.
Yeah, I saw a really good one of those with a guy where it was a fat loss supplement. It just had it written all over a guy's stomach. There was one with a woman in the face as well about collagen as well. Yeah, both of them AI generated.
We had our best form of that is we have a neuropathy or neuropathy. American. I don't know why I said that. A neuropathy supplement, and you could see why this would win. It was someone with their foot out, and the writing was on the foot.
Nice.
With image gen, the product was next to it. Like absolutely murdered inside the ad account.
Yeah.
Just any creative way to write, and actually, if you can get through the policies, like image gen writing on skin, does tend to do pretty well.
Yeah. I think as well, like people think, because some of these concepts we're talking about, like it's the whole concept is that where everything within the ad, the whole script is written on multiple notepads or multiple whiteboards, and that is holistically the whole thing. Whereas I'm also seeing it work really well when you actually just, because again, with a creative, you need to rehook the audience like every 5-6 seconds. So not necessarily having that throughout the whole creative, but like when you're bringing in the benefits, then we're putting them on paper, or then we're putting it on a notepad just to almost disrupt the feed again and disrupt that individual from, and increase that hold rate.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing is, again, like I'm an AI nerd, so I basically outsource my entire life to AI. So I would just go and like find a couple of the examples that we've been talking about. I don't know if you put them on the screen or whatever. And you can just feed them into ChatGPT and say, my brand is this.
Yeah.
I'm looking for some creative use cases for image gen or for like creative writing. Give me some really creative ideas that will be visually relevant to my audience for my product. And like, I bet if it gives you 20 ideas, at least 1 or 2 of them will be somewhat useful.
Yeah. I think VO3 when it can properly write text on a whiteboard and things like that will be big.
I just think as soon as you can upload context like you can on ChatGPT manually to VO3 for your own brand, it's gonna just be complete game changer.
Yeah.
That's
it's gonna be very interesting. So I'm seeing a lot of that. And then besides that, just principles that aren't like as trendy and just timeless. One thing that I'm seeing in a lot of accounts this year, I don't know if you guys have seen the same, is longer ads.
Yeah.
Tend to perform better. Either just longer, VSL style single person podcast or double person podcast, or even what we've done like many times this year is just taking winners and stitching them together.
I remember seeing you say this, and I literally sent it straight into our team chat because it's just such a simple iteration, isn't it?
I know. We took like 3 of our winners for this popcorn brand, stitched them together, turned it into like a 5-minute ad, and like that ad's been top of the ad account for the last 3 months. And it's not like when I say that, people think we literally just put them back to back, which in some cases you can, but like you don't really want it to go like problem solution CTA, problem solution CTA.
Yeah.
So like obviously you have to rearrange the clips a little bit to make the story make sense.
Yeah.
But like you're not really doing anything else besides that, and you can create these really long, engaging ads. I mean, we always say internally, there's no such thing as an ad that's too long, just an ad that's too boring. So if you've got multiple winners that are proven to sell your products and get the attention of your target audience, like stack them together. It's a really easy, high confidence bet that you can make, and they don't work every time. Like they've had a pretty decent success rate internally.
Yeah. I think one thing I see you're really bullish on, and we're really bullish on internally, is just really extending the setup of the problem or the education. Talk a bit about that, because we used to be in a world where like I would hammer to our team, you have to introduce the solution within 5 seconds or we're going to get drop off.
Yeah, funny. We actually have a couple of clients that still like insist on that. Really annoyingly, it's like, we need our product. I mean, they are bigger brands. They're like, we need our product mentioned in the first 5 seconds. I'm like, guys, like I think of it like you just when you do it right, like you're like pulling back the crossbow. It's like, can we pull it back further and further and further? Really make people feel that pain point. And the caveat to this is that, because some people might be watching this, okay, great, I'm going to do this. There are certain products that you just can't do that for. It's got to be a product that you can sit in the problem and make it relevant to that person.
Fashion being an example where it's hard.
Yeah.
As a category, it's like so much more visual. It's the USPs aren't as great unless it's got a story behind the brand. Unless you're like I don't know, like there's a few brands that I can think of, but where you can really tell a story about the product, the brand itself. I think it's harder in that category.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like, the way that I'd put it is if you have a product that's more visual, or if you have like what we call the money shot. If you have a money shot where I can see instantly like what this product is and how it benefits me, then like for example, we worked with a couple of years ago a kitchenware brand where it was like a collapsible like mug, or collapsible like bottle, and like collapsible kitchenware, and like just that visual of just the thing collapsing, I can see in half a second exactly what it does and how it benefits me as a consumer. Same thing with fashion. Like if I see a guy looking great in a pair of jeans, I'm like, oh, I can see why I would go and buy that. So that's when I would think about bringing the product in earlier. But like, if you can sit in that pain point and really pull back that bow, make people feel that problem. We have ads that work. I mean, I'm sure you guys are the same. Like, literally not introducing the product for 1, 2, 3 minutes in. I mean, look at some of the like old school VSLs. They don't bring the products until 15, 30 minutes. So yeah.
I think brands that haven't kind of cottoned onto that are the ones that are struggling to get incremental reach whenever I look in ad accounts. Whenever I'm auditing media buying data, it's like the ones that are still stuck in that like formulaic approach to videos, short, 30, 40 seconds. Ada. And the ones where their frequency's going up, the CPMs are going up, and it's like they're just not getting in front of new people to drive growth.
A great point, a great reason to make these kind of ads to hit the unaware problem aware people.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
it's something I see, just like solution aware down for like all of the creative. And I think one of probably the reasons is because it is harder to go top of funnel and keep people engaged. It's like storytelling is much harder than direct response.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sure you guys have had the same. But like, we've got ad accounts where we do make those kind of ads, and then like another agency or like the internal team will just go make bottom of funnel statics or like discount statics, and then they will take up all the spend in the ad account. It's like, guys, we need better ads from ad creators. Like, no, like can't weigh everything equally. Who's bringing in new eyeballs into the funnel? Who's hitting the people that weren't already close to buying anyway? So that's another reason for longer ads. But I've seen a lot of them do well on ad accounts this year.
Massively. I've seen a lot of them take a lot of spend for a long time as well. I feel like they have a lot of lifespan in comparison to...
I would genuinely say right now, like, and this is complete just finger in the air.
Anecdotal.
But like a lot of, I'd say most of our big accounts, like 60, 70% of their top spenders right now are problemware or unaware ads.
Yeah. I think that's the whole... I think that's how you grow meaningfully on Facebook right now. If you can't unlock that for your brand, it's really hard to spend consistently and without your CAC going up. You got to obsess about that, or like partnership ads being another way you can do it quite effectively.
Mm-hmm. How do you guys approach it when there's not that poignant of a pain point to sit in?
Yeah, it's a really good point. I think the way that I look at it is like, what is the market sophistication of a product? So if you've got a skincare product that is supposed to help acne, it's high market sophistication because people know it's very saturated market. There's loads of people that have that problem. And therefore, the way we approach that through the messaging is going to be very different to a filtered shower head, which actually is solving the same problem. You know, hard water on the skin is really bad for you, but we need to educate more so around the problem rather than on the skincare side, you're more leaning into like human desires and, you know, agitating around failed solutions. So I look at it in that way, but then as you say, if something doesn't have a very direct problem, it's difficult. And I think the way that you can then do it is by bringing in like really relatable stories in some form that, you know, even if it's like a funny story or something that, you know, is people can relate to on a day-to-day basis, that it's like that example where someone's in a coffee shop going on a date and it's an engaging story. So you're hooked and there's that open curiosity loop, but it isn't necessarily going into a problem.
I think I think fashion, let's take fashion as an example. I think like I would firstly, as a business, I'd look introspectively at the company. Like, have you got a founder? Have you got narrative that you could tell across the employees? Have you got a unique setup, like a massive warehouse that you could leverage for creative that's unique to you? Like, what's your unique thing within the business, not just product, that you could maybe do storytelling around? And then I think also another one is just satire. Like I think it's always possible to tell funny stories about a product.
Yeah.
True Classic Tea has been a really good example. That's something that's like, it's a fucking t-shirt at the end of the day, but they've made it funny, and those ads drove the majority of their top of funnel growth for like the first 2 years of the business. I think you could do that on Facebook now if you did it right.
Yeah, absolutely. So like sometimes I do consulting calls and I do get this question a lot, like what format should we test and like what's working right now? And like I need to do a tweet about this, but like the massive caveat is that you guys shouldn't really be listening to us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like something that I'm learning more and more, it feels like even more this year, but maybe it's just because I'm looking at more ad accounts. Every single business is different, and like there really are no best practices in advertising. We work with a beauty brand, and they spend like $100K a day on ads. They're huge, and their top performer, like we did a high prod shoot a few months ago, and we made their current top performer, and their top performer is a video where it's like a 3-minute tutorial, and it starts off by the lady saying, "Hey, my name's Sarah and I'm a makeup artist." And like, if you showed me that hook or that script before we were shooting and said, "Do you think this will work?" Like objectively, I don't think that's a good hook, because I don't care who you are, Sarah. Like if I'm scrolling through the feed, I don't know about you. I don't know about your products. I don't know about your brand, and you haven't made it immediately relevant to me and how it's going to benefit me. So like I would have thought that was a bad hook, but like that's an ad that's spent over $400,000.
Yeah,
so it's like
true.
There are so many nuances, and like if that's it for a beauty brand, then we might have another account where we've seen that single person podcasts do well. And if we're a supplement brand, we might find that like, you know, longer education like VSL style scripts tend to work well. Like people can post stuff online and say, "Oh, this format is working. Like you should try this." But like ultimately, you shouldn't really listen to any of us, because take it as inspo, but there are so many things that are just relevant to your brand. You just have to test, because there are really no best practices.
Sometimes it's just the curveballs are just thrown in, and something that literally goes against every rule just works.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't even hypothesize why that is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will work because it's authority.
Yeah, that one makes a lot of sense.
I think there's some things that I think every ad account should be doing though. Like I think authority figures, like if you do it well every time at the moment, working.
That's for this year as well. Like not just UGC creators, Sam, like I'm a makeup artist,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
actually like hiring actual people who could actually speak authentically. There's just another level of
It's a
trust.
differentiation, right?
Yeah, when someone can tell like, oh, this is actually someone who like knows what they're talking about, and they can riff and make it sound like, you know, they actually know what they're talking about because they do know what they're talking about. I think it's also something to be said that like, again, we are just trying to recreate the kind of content that our target audience would be watching organically. And I think actually for that, you know, for a beauty audience, they watch Get Ready With Me's. They watch people doing makeup tutorials. So it's actually not crazy to do like non-hooky hooks where you're not like, if you're over 50, you need to try this skincare routine. It's like, they don't normally consume that kind of content organically. So like, you know,
it would just be like a Get Ready With Me of just applying makeup and just talking casually.
Exactly. So it goes back to what we said, like, you know, visually telegraphing before they even open their mouth. And, you know, the fact that she's in a makeup studio and she's got a mirror with like pretty lights on it behind her, like before she's even opened her mouth, someone who's interested in that kind of content goes, oh, this might be something that's for me.
Yeah, 100%. Anything else before we move on to what's not working?
I mean, I think we could.
I want to add one more.
Go on then.
Lo-fi statics, like lo-fi statics, like stories.
Good call.
Like in post-it notes, not so much anymore, but like the newest, they're just crushing when done well, and they're so low impact, so low effort.
Do you mean like lo-fi statics with like the Instagram story
Literally,
style
yeah.
editing?
Yeah, like them frames edited over it, like using native text that you could make in platform.
Yeah.
Like super simple again, similar to the one you mentioned at the start about the TikTok. Just anything of that format's crushing right now.
We've just done a load of iterations where we've literally taken like best performing UGC scripts and made it sound like a WhatsApp voice note and just putting like the sound bar over the video. So, you know, like when you're listening to a WhatsApp voice note, it's you press play and it goes across.
Over the video or instead of the video?
Over the video with
So
like the video
in the
still
background.
in the background, yeah. Or just as in mash up a B-roll of the product.
Is the video in the background like is it blurred, or is it you can still watch the video?
You can still watch the video. It's not
That's
the same.
interesting.
It's not the same video. It's literally just B-roll of the product and like other creators holding it.
Interesting. I haven't tried that.
Yeah, so I'll keep you posted on that one. Cool. Well, again, this kind of feeds into what you were just saying. Like, some things that we might say aren't working anymore might still be crushing for others. So we're going to take this at, don't take this at face value. But what would you say right now, like you're advising your team not to be leaning into so much that maybe previously you were quite bullish on?
I was actually thinking about this recently. You know what I haven't seen at the top of an ad account in a while? A street interview.
I agree.
I haven't actually, no. See a lot more of them organically.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because you'd think that would then translate to people in ad accounts. But
and
maybe
like,
it's just...
We've leaned into it. We've done a lot of like actual in-person shoots this year. So we've made a lot of street interviews. I haven't seen, like now I think of it, like barely any of them like at the top of ad accounts or performing. So like, I mean, I don't know. I generally have the opinion, I'm generally of the opinion like all the formats work if they're done well. But like that is just one that I thought about the other day. I was like, I haven't seen that.
One that I saw that was really interesting that we're going to test for one of our brands is essentially it's like a more stylized street interview. So it's like a script narrative, but each line of the script jumps to like a new location. So it's still the same one shot of the street interviewer with the same subject, but then they're in different locations. So obviously it's set up and stylized, but it was just really dynamic, and it was it felt really engaging because you obviously have the motion of all the people, but then you're just switching the location frequently.
Yeah. We've done a little bit of that. Again, I'm not massively bullish on street interviews, but that's, if you're going to do it, I think that's a smart play.
Yeah.
I think really formulaic UGC rarely works anymore. I think it can. I think the hit rate on it's significantly lower.
I think like UGC in terms of traditional UGC is, you're not going to get away with it anymore.
It might take like a bit of spend, convert some people who are already like in funnel, but I think it just doesn't. It's not worth the investment in the content a lot of the time today compared to.
I mean, I was going to say actual UGC, but what is actual UGC? Ugly ads, really. Ugly ads as UGC. I'm still seeing it at the top of ad accounts. It's funny, like you see all these guys come on Twitter and say like UGC doesn't work, and like like these guys with like massive brands, and then you go inside their ad account, it's just a traditional UGC ad that's top of the account.
It's like V2 UGC. It's like we're in this new era.
But yeah, no, the traditional UGC, it's like, oh, this gives me so much more energy. I feel so much better now. It's like, no one's going to believe that anymore.
Well, what are you more bullish on? Like in terms of, I feel like there's the pendulum just always swings in terms like people saying high prod, we got to be doing more high prod, and then others low prod. And obviously it's very dependent on the brand and the value prop. But what would you say with your agency right now that you're more bullish on?
We are definitely doing a lot more high prod this year than we've done previously. I mean, again, the massive caveat is it's so account dependent. Like we've tried high prod for some brands and some industries is like don't get anywhere, and then we try like high prod like for the beauty brand, and like it's only really high prod that we can get to work. We try high prod for the anti-dandruff shampoo, and like that absolutely murders. So I guess the way that I would advise you would depend on the size of your brand. If I was a brand that was only spending $50K a month, $40K a month, like I don't know if it's worth investing in a high prod shoot or necessarily agency who's going to make high prod shoot, because it is more expensive to make than like going for volume with low production creative. But we're definitely doing a lot more high prod tests inside the accounts. There are just certain industries that lend itself better to certain formats.
Sometimes you can do like three podcast shoots, they don't hit, and then you just find the right angle, scripts, format, and it just rips.
I think it depends on the type of podcast. I actually think that like we do, it depends. If it's a supplement, like you obviously want something that's very scripted, but like if for some brands we try and get people to riff with talking points, and like I actually think that like this full podcast, but in general, like model selection really is an underrated part of
one of the most important
the creative
things.
process. Because everyone just like thinks UGC creators or actors or whoever you hire, like just these talking heads, and like they're all equal. But like there is such a difference between someone who can speak and sound authentic about a product versus someone who can't, to the point where like you're literally talking about an ad that absolutely crushes versus an ad that tanks.
It's like, it's arguably as important as the quality of the script in my eyes, because like we've had ridiculously strong scripts and then reviewed the content, and it's like, this is completely ruined. Like just the way that it's been delivered, that it's just not authentic.
You can also just pick people who come across as an authority, like they give that energy and that aura. We've got a few at the moment I can think of examples where we've just got this guy in a suit and he looks like a doctor. He's like, he's not, and we're not saying he is, but it gives that vibe because
you're visually telegraphing.
He's actually an ex-policeman, so that's probably why he's got that look of authority.
I wanted to talk about we before we move on past like what's not working. I think you two are way more in the weeds of the creative execution than me, where I spend most of my time is like speaking to brands on like forecast, ad accounts, pacing of growth, new customer. And I feel like what's the commonality of brands that are like struggling to grow but maybe making a lot of creative is like not revisiting strategy enough. And like what we were just talking about in terms of where should a brand go next, what creative formats could they make. I think there needs to be a much greater emphasis around like obsessing over research, like spending more time than you even like. If you're spending loads of time on research, maybe spend 50% more time than you are right now, and I still think you'd make better decisions, like analysing the market, doing a gap analysis of your ad account, like what formats are we just not looking at, what personas, what age groups. Like we did that one the other day where we found a massive opportunity within like 20 minutes of looking in the account by just kind of thinking differently about the data.
Yeah.
Just think brands skip to execution or are just stuck in this flywheel of just making more without going back to the start enough.
Yeah, 100%. We also say internally, like, 95% of your creative problems can be tied back to not doing enough research.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Every
like,
time.
it's an area, and I get it. Like if you're a strategist working at a brand, you're KPI'd against putting out 10 ads a week, or like you're an agency and you work across 6 clients, you feel like you don't have the time for research, but it genuinely is like, you gotta, like that's where you gotta start. You gotta carve that time out in your calendar and spend time. And like also on that point, I think there's an obsession on like formats and styles as if that's more important than the actual messaging.
Yeah.
Like it's not sexy to sit down and do an analysis of all of the different messages or angles that you could run. But like that for me is way higher impact than thinking about, do you want to do a 3 reasons why I do want to do
true.
a
100%.
a TikTok trend.
Finding that new pocket of audience, like
Yeah.
that new angle, pairing it with a persona angle mix, and then you think about how to package it up. And I think like there's so many brands I've spoken to over the start of this year that have been making 400, 500 ads a month, and their new customer revenue is flat and the CAC is going up.
And like that to me is like, that is what at its core a creative strategist really is.
Yeah.
Like a creative strategist is someone who's 7 pages deep on a Reddit thread that had 15 likes and sees that, oh wait, this anti-dandruff shampoo, people aren't using it for their hair, people are using it for their beard as well.
Yeah.
And this is a completely new pocket of my audience that I haven't touched. So I'm gonna actually try that ad. And then you try it and you realize there's this whole new audience that you can access. And like that actually happened for us and it ended up becoming one of the top performers. So like that to me at its core is what a creative strategy really is.
There's no better feeling, is there, when like a new angle reaches the top spenders?
Oh, you're just like a kid in a candy shop. Like, oh my goodness, there's so many things that we can do now.
And then you go format, and then you go, and then it's just like, you kind of just rinse it as much as you can from there, right?
Yeah, but like that's not the fun thing to do. Like to sit down and think about different. It's hard. It's hard to come up with new angles. It's hard to go through Reddit. It's hard to go through customer reviews. It's hard to go through ad comments. Like all these things. But like that's where the real golden nuggets are.
I also think I think a lot of like brand owners and founders and operators would actually learn loads more about the products if they went through that process. Learn loads more. Whenever we present our research phase back, we did it to a really big brand in the UK recently. Mm-hmm. And they got all of the C-suite on the call because they were like, there's a drinks brand, really well known, can't say the name, but and it was just like, there's just so many things we've never even thought about how our customer engages with our products.
Yeah.
All from that research process.
And I'd be curious to get your guys' take on this, but like I had a brand come to me recently and they're a very small brand and they wanted to work with us and I really liked the product. So we were thinking about like structuring something even though they're below our minimum, but like if you're spending, I mean, our criteria is minimum 100K spend a month to work with us, but like, they were spending, I think it was 20K a month. And I really don't think at that stage, it's a bad idea to actually learn how to sell your product before you start thinking about outsourcing it to an agency or a freelancer. Like, yes, like we're all business owners, we have 50,000 things. And like your natural instinct is if it's not the highest revenue generating task, can I think about handing over to someone else? But like learning how to sell your product, even if it takes a lot of time to learn creative strategy, is one of the most important skills that you can learn.
Yeah. I just ran the research process for creative strategy on our own business as well. Because nice. I'm starting to shoot loads of ads for Saw, and it was like we were just making VSL scripts, and I ran and it just was again really interesting just to see like for our own like service how people speak about it differently to how maybe you think about it, and just uncovered loads of things, which is interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's arguably the highest leverage thing you could do initially. Because especially as you know, brands that I know that are just absolutely killing it, they're not only working with external agencies, but they have an incredible creative machine internally. And that's how they're able to scale creative so effectively. Mm-hmm. Cool. So what I wanted to just move on to now, because I think a lot of people listening to this are brand owners, it's quite a nice segue from where we just were, but like, what are your recommendations and what are some of the learnings from building an incredible creative strategy team that brands can apply internally?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'd go back to what we were saying earlier. Like I would encourage, we can get into training in a second, but like I would encourage every single strategist or every single person who's involved in making ads in your team to just be relentless in collecting top performing ads. I just need you to be a sponge. Yeah. Like if you have to go and I'll pay for consulting calls for you. I'll like get you on the phone to agency owners or go and do ad account swaps or like whatever you have to do to get access to ad accounts and start building up your internal board of top performers with different types of audiences and different types of industries and different types of products. And I just think like over time, by osmosis, you will soak up like the nuances of how to go and make top performing creative. And you just have more reference points in your head when it comes to sitting down and coming up with ideas. Again, like oh, I did this call with like this agency guy like 6 months ago, but I saw this tweet like,
Yeah.
12 months ago. We obviously, like you guys have done a lot of hiring for creative strategists. It's not easy to find good creative strategists. But what I will say is the strategists who have come on Ad Create and done the best have been the ones who, before they applied, they were already kind of in the industry, in the sense that they already, watch podcasts like this. They already subscribe to Motion's newsletter. They already follow people on DT Twitter. Like they were already like consumed by the industry, and they were a consumer of content. Not necessarily that makes them a better strategist, but just they're the kind of person that just lives and breathes creative strategy.
I think that's curiosity, right? Like naturally curious. I think it's even more important if you're hiring in a brand to look for people who are like level 10 curious, because in an agency you kind of you have the benefit of context, you have the benefit of a team and network of other people to learn from. If you're the only creative strategist in a brand, I think you have to like engineer that, and you have to go and really be intentional about building that environment around yourself, which is harder.
Yeah.
I think that's like, you've got to vet for that like aggressively in the interview stage. I think self-learners.
There's some really interesting, we've just been invited into one, but like really talented creative strategists from different brands and different industries all coming together in WhatsApp chats and just doing like a monthly call where they will like share insights. So again, I think another idea is just actively seeking that if you are, I guess, siloed internally and don't necessarily have that those people that you can sponge from.
Yeah. So I'd say definitely someone who's curious. I mean, maybe this is less applicable to a brand, but we do every week, we have our like performance review calls or like creative brainstorms. We get everyone on the creative team together and we just go, okay, like guys, like if, budget was no limit and creativity was no limit, like what's some of the craziest ideas that we come up with? So sometimes we'll brainstorm, sometimes we'll look at existing ads and see how we can iterate on them. And like that's been good to get ideas from people who aren't directly in the weeds. Like sometimes I'll come up with ideas, sometimes our performance team will come up with ideas, sometimes our editors come up with ideas that we've gone and run and have done very well inside the ad account. Nice,
I love that. Yeah, I think it's underrated, isn't it? Just the old-fashioned brainstorming session. Like I just don't think it's utilized enough in many ways.
Yeah, and if I was to add one more thing, and this arguably is the most important, well, maybe not more important than being curious, but like just becoming a student of the organic feed. Like you just have to become a doom scroller.
I agree. And one thing I saw you tweet about that I'm just like just consistently hammering down our team's throat, it's just TikTok Shop as like an inspiration tool.
Yeah. Like I don't understand why more people don't study this, because like these TikTok Shop creators are literally paid based on their ability to get your attention and sell your product. Like they're not put on retainers. Like they are commissioned to find the most creative ways to get your attention and talk about a problem and, use the right lighting and sound authentic and speak like an authority on their products and sell you on it. So I just like to absorb, like we save, like we obviously have our foreplay boards where we save a lot of ad inspiration down, but like most of our inspiration comes from the organic feed, and we have a bank of like 100 different TikTok Shop creators that I get our team to frequent, and just study like how they approach creative, like how are they holding their phone? Are they setting it up on a tripod, or are they holding it like POV in the mirror? Like what does the movement look like? What does the lighting look like? Like all these little nuances that they've perfected over thousands and thousands of reps that are going to be different for every audience and every industry. I just think there's so much that you can pick up from TikTok Shop creators that can then be applied in paid.
It's just crazy. Like it's like the modern day grey hat marketer, isn't it? Like in many ways, they just know how to get attention.
Yeah.
It's a sales team. Like it's a modern day sales team.
Yeah.
But their method of selling is content, right? It's like, I think that's when thinking about hiring a creative strategist for a brand as well. Incentives is really, I think you can do a lot there to really drive output and impact if you structure it correctly.
Yeah. How do you guys think of that? I mean, maybe this isn't as relevant to be watching on, like, if we talk about agency side, because I think it's a little bit more complex to incentivize if you're on agency side. But if you're a brand, like strategists and editors, if you say, hey, by the way, like for however you want to do it, this percentile, or like for every ad that you make that spends this arbitrary amount, I'll give you an extra $250, $500, like suddenly I'm really incentivized to go and do all these things, to be in the communities, to look at people on
Absolute
Twitter,
no-brainer.
And want to make more top performing ads, which obviously benefits everyone.
Absolute no-brainer, especially for editors. Editors first, because they're offshore, and like the incentive doesn't need to be that significant to significantly alter the behavior, alter the outcome that you get from those individuals. I think, and then creative strategists think the same. Like, obviously a little bit different in terms of structure, but incentivizing on winning.
Yeah, inherently changes behaviors.
Yeah. I think that the process that we think about, like the three things that you'd want to do if it's editor, strategist, or whatever, access, educate, incentivize. Access to the data, I can see what's working and what's not. Educate, tell me how to make more top performing ads by doing the brainstorm calls, by sharing content from people online. Incentivize, I know that if I am going to make something that works, I'll be rewarded for it. And like, if you just build that feedback loop, you get, I mean, for the right type of person, if you do all those three things and they're still not, motivated to go and make more top performers, then like maybe they're not the right fit for the company. But like, if you do that, like that's a really, incentivizing approach for someone, especially who's offshore.
Yeah, 100%.
I know what my answer would be to this, but I'm just more interested what yours would be and how you combat that. What would you say is the hardest thing to train your creative strategist on, or I guess maybe the most consistent thing that people come in with an inability to do?
Copywriting.
Yeah.
Storytelling, copywriting, all of that, yeah.
And it's not you've got it or you don't, because you can learn it. It just, like, of all the skills you can learn as a strategist, I think that's the one that takes the longest to train.
I think that's the thing. Like, I think I understand creative strategy, like what it is, formats. I think I understand messaging. I couldn't write scripts because I'm just not good at it. I'm not a good copywriter to the level that you need to be.
And like, that's why, we always think about hiring, like, what's the, like, screening for what's the hardest skill to train for, whether it be, strategy editors or media buyers. If copywriting is the hardest skill to train for, like, we've had people who've come in who've been extremely raw, like, and not had much creative strategy knowledge, but like, I can see they've got raw copywriting ability, and they've come in, like, I'd much rather have that than someone who knows all the different formats, but doesn't know copywriting, doesn't know psychology.
We've done the same. Yeah, exactly.
It's
back it down to the single hardest fundamental skill set to train.
Absolutely.
Which, like, it shows we still have a distance to go with AI, right? Because, like, you would think on paper it should become much easier now, but actually there's still so many nuances with messaging that you can't just ask, Claude or ChatGPT or whatever to just create a script for you and it doing it perfectly. There's way more layers and nuances than that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we have another saying internally where we go, like, I've never seen someone, like, the only people that I've seen make good ads with AI are people who make good ads without AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
And it's just like, it is true. Like, if you don't know, like, if you're the one who's reviewing the copy, and GPT, you can build the best Claude project or custom GPT, it's still probably going to come up with some bad ideas. If it gives you 10 headlines, they're not all going to be hits. And you need to know, as a creative strategist, which of these are actually good headlines that I can run inside an ad account.
Exactly. You're a filter in many ways. Like, there's so much shit that's coming through, and you've got to sieve out what is good and what is bad and then optimize it further.
And that's where I think the value will be created. I do think that, a lot of execution will be taken over by AI in the next 12 to 24 months, but like, the value to be created by a strategist is in the direction and like the QC. Effectively, your taste.
I was going to say, it's like layers. There's layers of an asset, isn't there? There's like the script, but then pairing it with the right, like, format, then pairing it with the right, like, persona, delivery. It's like the ones that can kind of put those building blocks together, even if AI is kind of helping with them individually. Yeah, I think the AI is just a bit stiff from a copywriting perspective still. That's how I'd always
it'll get better because it'll get better at ingesting context. It'll get better at learning, because like Claude or GPT are inherently like not good copywriters, or at least they're not good creative strategists. So you have to pump them with a bunch of context about how to write good scripts, and even then it's not that good because they're not trained on ad account data. But they'll get better, but still, like, there's still going to be a gap between the best and the rest in the who's giving the best direction. And there's a difference between Lucas giving QC versus a strategist starting tomorrow giving QC to Claude or GPT.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for someone who is either looking to train their team to become better script writers or are looking to improve that skill themselves?
What advice to become a better copywriter? I don't know. Read a lot of books.
Reps.
I'd go.
I mean, yeah, I actually think that's probably a better answer that I had. It is reps and like being in again, like absorbing a lot of top performing ads and just seeing just getting like by osmosis the flow of like what a top performing ad looks like, and like pairing that with the theory of reading cash advertising and like reading the different like book. There are hundreds of books on copyright and how to become a better copywriter. But like the combination of the theory and then just doing like I didn't actually do much copywriting theory. I just wrote probably at this point hundreds, if not thousands, of scripts.
Yeah,
I'd go back and read a lot of long form sales letters from like the 50s, 60s, 70s.
That's a good shout.
Like Amex, Bentley, Rolls Royce, where they were selling millions of dollars of product through long form direct mail, and like that's where like Joseph Sugarman, might have got his first name wrong. That's where like a lot of the principles in cash advertising and these like modern takes on that they were formed there. Sam Parr and Sean Puri both have really good copywriting courses.
Yeah.
Where a lot of that is literally you are rewriting the letter. You're reading it, you're studying it, and you're rewriting it word for word in terms of like getting that.
We put our strategists through that course and they really liked it. Also, I don't know if you guys have you seen Harry Dry?
I've heard of him.
He's a really good copywriter, and he's got a course coming out at the start of August. I think it's his first ever course, and like he's very well followed and very good traditional copywriter. So we're gonna put our team through that as well.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's that longer form content's just so strong.
Yeah.
Also VSL writers. I think long form VSLs are also like they start with perfect copy. So if you can find some like VSLs that have driven a huge amount of revenue, the principles in the delivery will be really solid.
Yeah. And again, like it's so tempting to go on Twitter and see everyone building the end Gumlet workflows. If you're a strategist starting out, you go, I need to learn this before I learn copywriting. But like copywriting is the boring, like unsexy stuff that like, I would put way before learning anything AI. Because if you're not a good creative strategist, if you're not a good copywriter, it doesn't matter how good your workflow is. It doesn't matter how good your prompt is, how good your custom GPT is. You're not going to know what a good output is. One other small thing I'll say, this isn't necessarily related to this, but like whenever I am trying to learn a new topic, if it is copywriting, for example, what I always do is like I take a bunch of books or podcasts or whatever, put them through either Claude or Poppy, and then tell it to write a summary for me to put into. Have you used Notebook LM? By Google.
Yeah.
It's just basically like if you like enter in a subject, it just turns it into a podcast. Like actually a very realistic sounding podcast. So I listen to podcasts all the time. And I would just get GPT, Claude or Poppy to write a summary about whatever I'm trying to learn, copywriting. And then I'd plug that into Notebook LM, and then when I'm traveling or whatever, I'll just listen to like the podcast on like the specific thing that I want to learn.
That's a cool idea.
So I just do that for anything. I did that for a chess opening the other day. Just listened to a podcast for 30 minutes on a chess opening. And it was like on the specific openings. So that's what I found with podcasts. Like you listen to a 60-minute podcast for a 10-minute segment.
Yeah.
But like you can get a whole podcast generated on like a specific.
There's actually a new app I've seen recently that is literally that. Like it's
Really?
it's just self-help books that are condensed down into like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I've seen. I can't remember what I've seen. I've been advertised that as well. I've seen that.
Yeah. I used another like app like that a few years ago, and I remember seeing it around.
I was going to ask you this towards the end, but I'm going to ask because it was a nice segue. You've just run through one, like what are your like top 2 or 3 like personal AI tools, like taking away the business like that you use individually in your day to day?
Honestly, like I am a massive user of custom GPTs. Like,
even them, like maybe
I
2 or 3 of those.
Like I build custom GPTs for everything. So I live in Cape Town, but like when so I,
Sorry, it's just so funny. Your eyes just lit up.
oh, no. I get
killed them
so
for everything.
jazzed talking about custom GPTs. You can make the whole podcast about this. So I live in Cape Town, and like there's not really many good brands that you can buy from in South Africa. So what I do, I come back to the UK twice a year, and when I come back here, I do like a big, like I revamp my wardrobe, buy a load of clothes, and I came back a couple of weeks ago to London, and I was like, right, I need to revamp my wardrobe. So I was like, how do I want to dress? So I did some research, looked online, and I was like, okay, I want to dress in like this certain style, like a Don Draper style, like nice, smart, professional. So I build a custom GPT that's like, you are my high end
Stylist.
I am going to tell you what I want, and you're going to tell me which pieces that I can buy, which brands I can buy from that align with my style. And I've given it, inspiration images. And like every time I want to buy a brand new pair of shoes, like what can I get? Put it in there, give me suggestions of like which brands and why they would fit with like what I've currently got, and like what the aesthetic I'm trying to create is. I've got one for that. I've got one for relationships, in which that like, if I'm going through, this is actually a really good one that I would suggest everyone to have. Like if you've got like a partner or like a family member that you're having conflict with, you can just like have one. If you've got a girlfriend, for example, this is really nerdy, create a Notion document with like just everything that you know about your girlfriend, and like how she like deals with conflict, and just things about her, like little quirks and things. Upload that into a custom GPT, and then I use that. So if you're ever in a conflict, you can say like, give me a little bit of like, if you're in a like emotional, you want to be, just like lash out at her. I go like, help me understand her perspective. And it almost acts as like a relationship therapist, not in the way like, oh, here's what to say back, but just like, oh, help me understand that. And genuinely, I've used that a few times, and like it's actually helped resolve conflicts. So like, there's tons of ones like that. I built one for my cleaner in South Africa where she can scan she can take a picture of the tag, and it tells her how to wash the clothes properly, so she doesn't do anything with the delicates. Like just anything that you can think of. I've got a voice memo summarizer where I type in I give a screenshot. I shouldn't, like, if you voice note me, I'm really sorry for this, but like, I don't want to listen to like a 10-minute voice note. So like I screenshot the transcripts and I put it into this custom GPT, and it just summarizes it for me and tells me the action steps. So just like stupid things like that. Anytime I want to like automate something, I just build a custom GPT for it.
I love that. Yeah. I think that relationship one is interesting. I think even in a work setting, that's one I do where every person that I manage, I'll have like a custom GPT for them.
That's good.
So like transcript for every quarterly review, monthly review, any like feedback updates.
Yeah.
And it will just have the full context of that person.
I've just spun up one I'm trying to do a big thing on like internal comms and culture, and I just documented, I did this massive Miro board on like culture, what we're trying to achieve from this reset we're doing, like all the culture pillars, goals, measurement, initiatives, and then I did a Notion doc poured a couple of Notion docs in and uploaded that as context, and then just using that to like support with creating all hand huddle decks, and like really valuable. Like I read that high agency, put that in and was like, how do we, based on our culture pillars, the industry we're sitting and the goals we have for the rest of this year, build me a plan for all hands based on this theory of high agency, but using translate it into our culture, and how that can layer up to better impact for our team and clients. And it just built me this amazing structure for a talk.
I love that. And I saw Taylor Holiday recently tweet about how at CTC they're starting to integrate like, kind of AI as like in their 360 reviews, where AI does the first pass of the review for you as a team member. I also have a GPT that knows everything about ad create, and like it's just basically a business advisor for us. So like put your P&L in there, put your org structure in there, like everything you want to know. And we had a big decision, one of the bigger decisions we had to make for the company recently about where to best like allocate funds. And just basically said like, you are the world's best agency consultant. You've been trained by all of the best agency owners who've had exits of $20+ million. And your advice is, knowing everything you know about me, give me the best advice for my business and the problem I'm dealing with, and just laid it all out and like give me some really solid advice. So even just put in your own, P&L org structure and just acting as like a first pass of a business advisor. I even asked it like, who on intro can I speak to deal with a specific problem? And it told me like, these are the first 5 people that you can speak to on intro.
Yeah,
I think
buying a house, and I've just created the mortgage bot. So
Yeah.
I think this came from my first million as well, but they said a statement on there that I think it was the Microsoft CEO said that like in business, a lot of your temptation is to think with your team, like have meetings to think through a problem. Whereas what you should do is think with AI and then take the first pass to the team once you've kind of gone through that process of brainstorming.
Do you guys use Whisperflow?
No, not actively, but I've seen it. I saw you tweet about it saying it's the best tool you'd recommend.
Dude.
Of it.
I mean, people think I'm on their sales team, but genuinely, Whisperflow, have you used it, Lucas?
no, I haven't.
Explain what it is quickly.
So Whisperflow is a voice dictation tool where you can hold down, as a keyboard shortcut, I hold down Control Option on my Mac, and I can just start voice dictating into it. And it removes all your filler words. If you say something wrong, you say, actually, no, like this instead. It just doesn't include the bit that you said wrong. So like it's actual good voice dictation. And I don't use it so much for like Slack and email, but when you're talking to models, unbelievable. Like you can, because sometimes I have a really long prompt that I want to write out, and instead of or a context doc, instead of me spending 2 minutes like writing out the perfect prompt, I can just riff, hold my keyboard down, hold my keyboard shortcut down, riff into it, and I can like get down like a prompt that would have taken me 2 minutes in about 20 seconds. And like going back and forth with AI is so much quicker. Every person I put onto it has been like, wow, I don't know how to survive like before this.
That's cool. I love that. Have you? I forgot the name of it now. We were in the Lake District with Joe and Jordan last week, and Plaud AI, is it? I think it might be called Plaud, Plaud. Joe had a little bracelet on which looked just like a Whoop.
Yeah.
And it literally just records everything and goes straight
I've heard of things like that,
goes straight into a GPT at the end of the day and just gives him like a breakdown.
And you can select you can preset prompts to take to filter through. So you might have a prompt that pre-cleans it, and then you can. So he said it was really valuable for like masterminds where you just whip it straight through and send to his team.
A kind of scrappy version that you can do of that. We did an in-person day with our team at WeWork last week, and like I'm just trying to get people, if they don't have something like that, into the habit of like if I'm sitting down with you on a session, set up my laptop on a Google Meet and just press and record. Like just trying to log as much of our interactions as possible to get the transcript so that we can put the transcript through ChatGPT.
Yeah, I agree. Like you speak a lot about this as well, but it's just context engineering. People talk a lot about prompt engineering, but not enough about context engineering. So it's like just become obsessed with context about everything you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's one that, I mean, besides copywriting, like one of the highest leverage skills that you can learn today. Again, something that I think is a very defensible skill set, because AI won't know what is the right context to put into a workflow that builds static ad headlines. It doesn't know if it's going to put in like a YouTube video that I made or a blog post that some brand marketer made 9 years ago. So the ability to understand what context needs to be injected into AI, which again comes from being a good creative strategist, is something that we spend a lot of time pouring into.
So what do you think creative strategy, and I know that's very broad, but what do you think creative strategy as a whole is going to look like in 12 to 24 months?
I think that we start to see AI agents on the org chart. And I think that we start to see like a creative strategist actually I'm not like moving into away from the actual execution of making the ads and towards becoming like a creative director of an army of AI agents. You have a research agent who's tasked with going and scraping Reddit and TikTok and customer reviews and ad comments, and then come back to you with a daily report saying, hey, I scraped 100 comments, I scraped 10 Reddit threads, here's what I found. And then you go in and say, okay, great, go and make scripts for these 3 ideas. And that goes handed over to the script writing agent, where that goes into the scripts. You've got a creator agent that works with like a tool like a VO. You've got editing agents. Like the whole process is just going to be eventually, I think, an army of agents that's managed by this kind of creative producer. I actually see like a lot of the roles in creative strategy merging into this role, and just that you're able to focus on higher leverage tasks. So I get to spend more time doing actual creative strategy, like thinking about, okay, what products do we want to push? How do we want to go about advertising this? Like what messaging do I think feels best for our brand? And just directing this army of agents, which won't happen overnight, but like I think that's the world in which we're eventually heading to. And again, like we were saying earlier, I think the value to be created is still going to be there. I just think that it's going to raise the floor without necessarily raising the ceiling. I think the ceiling will be raised in so much that AI will be able to do so much volume that the ceiling will be raised.
That's what I was gonna say.
But like, I think the floor is like the ability to make good ads is easier, but like, there's still going to be a difference in who knows best what to create, rather than like actually how to go about creating the specific ad.
Yeah, agreed. Just on that point then, do you think there's ever a world where there's an either or in terms of AI creative versus, you know, real made creative? Or do you think because in my eyes, I think there's the ecosystem there will still be room for creative that is made by a customer or made by a creator or you know, even down to high production to some degree with founder shoots and things like that. What's your view on that?
I mean, I think it depends on how good, like, can AI get to the point where it can genuinely recreate a TikTok shop creator style video? Can it get to that point? And like, can it get to that point without being like legislation being put on it for someone to know whether it's AI or not?
I think that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah. If it can, and there's no legislation on it, like genuinely tell me why you would do that versus using a human creator.
I think it's trying to think back to like what's the constraint and fundamental that stops it from getting to that point. What are the things that it's going to find hardest to generate context or understanding of? I think it's like trend, probably. It's like can it yeah, but I think it could get there. Like it's like it's still got trend context in platform.
There are also some types of
emotion.
Some types of pieces of content that I think will be difficult, not impossible, but very difficult for AI to replicate. For example, we work with a couple of food brands, and some of our top performers have been, us 3 sitting around like a table eating some licorice, and like you're trying it for the first time, and I get your authentic reaction, and like you're interacting with the product, you're squidging it and showing how chewy it is, you're biting the product, and you're like doing that, and we're just laughing and joking with each other. I think it could get to that point, but like that's definitely a different, like another level to just, hey, go and buy this licorice. This licorice tastes really nice.
Yeah, all that founder content, things like that is required to be authentic and a real person. But I do think it's like that legislation thing that it comes down to at the end of the day, because I do think the pendulum always swings, and I never think it's going to swing back to, away from AI necessarily. But it's the same as, we were in this world during COVID where everyone was working from home, and it created this obsession and craving to get back into the office, or the same with digital and online, and then this obsession for physical communities like run clubs and other things. So I do see a world where they can live in harmony side by side. Not 100%, 50-50, but I could see them living there.
I see an end state where most of our agency just won't, like, it will be vastly different. It's hard to even think about what it'll be because there's so many unknowns. I think most of our enterprise value will be eradicated at some point 20, 30 years down the future. I think that's hard to argue with. Even when you look at founders
before then.
You have to
months out of 20 years, mate.
either shift vehicles, or have to think about. It's kind of hard. It's hard to even like plan for long time horizon.
This is a different conversation. I don't think creative shops will be around the next 2-3 years. I think that there's things that you can do to adapt and still be relevant and still add value. But I don't think that what's currently, working with 5 or 6 creative shops inside your account, I don't think that will be how brands interact with agency partners.
No. I was just on the founders thing. I even think that will, like, if you can dump in 4 or 5 different previous shop founder shoots and upload that context, like again,
avatars, isn't it? It's
like,
like even what TikTok One are already doing. You can create avatars.
Yeah, like you film your warehouse, you film your office, you upload a few previous shoots. There's the context.
On the, concept of like AI versus human, again, like it is just going to be a cat and mouse between AI and humans, because every time AI advances, like the human, like TikTok shop creators will have to try and find ways to signal that they're human, so that you as the viewer know that you're not watching an AI. So I just think they'll just keep on chasing each other until eventually the AI catches up, or until it doesn't. And like there is still value to be created in human creators. And like one thing I will say to your point, Lucas, is like I actually think that at least in the short term, the amount of AI creative on the feed is going to, possibly in the longer term, like people will crave something uglier. People will crave actual authentic content from real people. Now, if it does get to the point where it can recreate ugly, that's another different story. But like, we've really tried to lean into things this year that AI can't create, like the behind the scenes, like the kind of employee generated content, like stuff in the warehouse, like the concepts with multiple people who are all trying the product together, like stuff that signals to people that this is real people creating real content. We've tried to lean into pretty heavily, like alongside making AI creative.
I've already seen some sentiment like that on organic videos. It was the earthquake that just happened in Russia, the tsunami warning. There was a couple of videos on my feed that were like AI generated tsunamis across like Japan or something.
Yeah.
And the comments were just filled with like people who were fuming at just AI content in general.
Yeah.
They were like, I'm sick of seeing this AI shit on my feed. Like.
Yeah. Nice try, Super Diddy.
Yeah. Yeah, like all of that, which is interesting that sentiment is already like sort of bubbling around. You mentioned a minute ago that you think the engagement of agencies, creative shops are going to be vastly different. Where do you think that's heading?
I think creative agencies become almost AI consultancies. I don't think that growth creative as a service will die, but I think the agencies that adapt will become almost growth engine operators rather than just we're a creative shop that you buy ads from. I see brands, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this, I see brands working with a lot fewer, maybe even one, like growth creative agency who manages all growth creative, AI and human, rather than just tapping into a bunch of different ones, offering that and then thinking about what other services you can offer, like AI consulting. Like, I mean, I'm less bullish on this, like AI workflow building. I don't think the tech is there currently, because I wouldn't build on top of a Gumlip or an N8N for creative. But like, there is a future where you could have other offers like AI consulting or AI workflow building alongside being a growth creative engine.
Yeah, I would probably agree. I think it facilitates separation of like best and rest even more. Mm-hmm. Like I think that in the org chart, I think that in at an industry level, I think that's true. And I think you become more holistic. Yeah, I think AI selling AI agents, which are like selling AI implementation at an org chart level to brands, because you've got greater context to be able to facilitate a better outcome than if they were to build it internally. I think that's quite an interesting thing to think about.
I feel like agencies become just like data warehouses in many ways. Like that is the context, because that's what I guess our unfair advantages as well of a brand, right? We've got context from 10, 20, 50 different brand accounts that can be applied to one another.
The difficulty with just that is that Meta has even more context than
Yeah.
us. It's like
Do you ever think Meta will get into the ad generation game?
they are.
But like in
Big
a way that's
time.
actually meaningful.
Yeah,
You do?
100%.
I mean,
I don't think it'll be as good as.
it,
Well, it
yeah,
depends what you define good
everything I've
as.
tried to do previously has not been good.
Yeah.
But like, and I know Zuckerberg said he doesn't really prioritize.
Literally spends no time.
I
Yeah,
thought-
but like if you've got tens of hours of footage of
yeah.
my brand, and you have more data than anyone, like, why would you not?
Yeah, I don't. They're the big company that struggle to understand their AI strategy, where they're going directionally compared to others. Like they're the one that's like they're also investing probably the most out of anyone right now in terms of doubling down on talent. But they've got so many directions they could go in. They could go consumer. They could go like they're obviously looking at wearables. They've got so many different. Even despite us always like living off the ad platform.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's something? Yeah.
I think that's where the data warehouse is irrelevant, right? If someone like Meta was to give you access to that data at scale.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well,
It's hard to think
we're
about.
sadly at time, but
Yeah.
we are doing a podcast on both of our channels.
Yeah.
So we will make sure to speak about different things if that is possible.
We'll try. I mean, this probably could have been a 4-hour podcast, to be fair.
I feel like we
I'm
could have
sure
gone
we'll
for a
have
while
we'll have
then,
no
yeah.
issue doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Alex, I appreciate you coming on. Long time overdue. Where can people find you?
Alex Goff Cooper on Twitter, which is where I'm most active. I tweet almost daily. And YouTube, I know I haven't really uploaded in a few months, so I'm sorry for that. But
Back with a bang though soon.
oh yeah. When this comes out, I am gonna try and start uploading again on YouTube. So yeah, you got to search Alex Cooper Ad Creek because I'm not yet popular enough to be rank higher than the Call Her Daddy or Call My Daddy.
Yeah,
What was
yeah.
it?
Call Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are still up there though.
I actually for one day did beat her. I think I had a video that was doing really well, and I was like, guys, everyone type in Alex Cooper into YouTube. I'm beating the Call Her Daddy girl. But you do have to type in ad create or ads or something. But Twitter or YouTube is the best place.
Cool. Well, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And yeah, make sure you subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you on the next episode.